middle of summer right now. And this is the harvest season. And Chile exports, among other things, cherries. And some genius in Chile figured out that China would love to have ripe red cherries for New Year's. And because those cherries are grown in a desert, depending on when they put the water on the trees, they can control when they bloom and therefore when the harvest is going to be, since New Year's moves, correct? So they can make the cherries become ripe just in time for Chinese New Year. They fly them. I don't know if they use UPS, but I hope they use UPS, since UPS is an important supporter of the World's Fair. And they are the world's most expensive cherries because they fly them air freight to China. And I hope everybody in the audience understands that red is a color of prosperity and good fortune, and that it's important in Chinese New Year's, and Chinese consumers, that growing Chinese middle class, will pay a fortune to buy cherries from Chile. So that's a great success story. The other question I was asked was Cuba, and could the United States and China collaborate in Cuba? And the answer is no. China can't make money in Cuba. The United States can't make money in Cuba. And we could collaborate together and not make money together. So forget them. China buys nickel from Cuba, and not much else, because Cuba does not export much. And Cuba does not import much because they got no money. The reason they have no money, I will tell you here, is because forever they have refused to follow the Chinese model. And I say that seriously, that it is a communist country with a Stalinist economy. That U.S. politicians and business people have been going to Cuba for years. And in their meetings with Cuban leaders, they always say, oh, we assume you're going to follow the Chinese model. Won't that be great for you? And the Castro brothers have responded, absolutely not. That China, in fact, from their perspective, is sold out on communism. It is not a communist country anymore. And that they didn't have a revolution in Cuba so that they could become like China. As a result, they are impoverished and have no money. So, no, we're not going to collaborate with the Chinese in Cuba, but there's great opportunities, particularly, I would argue, in Mexico, Colombia, Peru, and Chile, because those are the economies in Latin America that are doing well, that are booming, that are going ahead economically, and which have opened their economies to the world. And I'm going to stop there. I go on for another hour and a half, but anyhow.
Why don't you pass it on?
John, I'm going to let you talk for a while. Tell me how this is. How much money do you make off this chair?
Not much. Good evening, everyone. Once again, my name is John Miltenis. I am the Vice President of International Marketing for UPS, and it's a pleasure to be here this evening. Kind of a real brief area of responsibility for myself. I manage kind of the portfolio of services for UPS outside of U.S. domestic. So our business here is very substantial. Anything that goes on an aircraft or anything that happens around the world from a marketing portfolio perspective is my responsibility. To give you an idea of what our relationship is and what our breadth of services are in China right now, we have over 6,000 employees there, about 250 operating centers where we actually run, just like we do here, trucks and aircraft. Our main airlines fly in and out of our Shenzhen. We have a new facility in Shenzhen which handles all of our intra-Asia business. So anything that's picked up and delivered from China to China, but into and out of Asia is out of there. We moved that out of Philippines a few years ago. We also have our major air hub, Intercontinental, is out of Shanghai. So anything that goes from U.S. to Europe, or U.S. or China to U.S., China to Europe is coming out of Shanghai. So big facility there. We've been doing a lot of work in expansion of our facilities in China over the last 10 years. Kind of give you an idea, we started there in 1988. We were aligned with kind of an agent relationship with Sinotrans, if any of you know Sinotrans in China. Very good relationship, and then when China joined the WTO, we were able to actually take our sole ownership of all of the operations there. So we had 23 key cities in China that now we can take ownership of, which we have. And now we've been expanding that as we go, and we can get more into that. I think the biggest number I keep looking at is 600 million. And 600 million is what is, it's the number of middle class, or middle class in China, what that number is going to be in less than 5 years. So why is that relevant for UPS? Two things: consumers and small business, small middle-sized business. Everyone kind of gets enamored with the people ordering things on their cell phones and consumer business and ordering, but I get excited because what that means is increased wealth for middle, small businesses, and therefore they're looking to grow, and that's money in the bank, and that's our wheelhouse for UPS. What we do in our lifeblood here in the United States is small, middle-sized business, and the same is hold true for China. That is absolutely growing. That's not just some number that excuse everyone here, that anyone in a university pulled out. I can tell you that that's what's happening. We're actually seeing that on the street, where before it used to be controlled by the big.
Not me.
Professor went in the back and changed it.
All right, forget it. Are we there? Okay, that's fine. Thank you. So I think the 600 million for us is very interesting. That's very exciting. And what we've seen in our business, when we originally, you go back 10 years ago, a lot of the big OEMs like the Apples of the world that were producing volume back to the U.S. in mass quantities, big volume, took a lot of our aircraft space up. What OEM is like a provider that builds for on behalf of companies like that. So what we found now is there was small, middle-sized customers are starting to take ownership and having greater say on who they do business with and what the business is. So, for example, they used to have to respond to the big companies in Europe and in the U.S. and who they wanted to ship with and how. Now we're negotiating with the folks in China. Businesses in China are making their final decisions. That's a big change in just 10 years. And that means they're starting to get some clout, and they're starting to get some more power as far as business is concerned. So very exciting for us. We have a full array of solutions in China, not just package delivery, but freight, forwarding, ocean containers. We've even launched a new service from China to Europe by rail that goes through the stands that go through. That's a 15 to 20 day service, and so it kind of, instead of putting it on ocean, now you can put it on a rail car. Many of our big customers are very excited about that. It actually is temperature controlled, so that nothing gets frozen when it's going through the mountains. But it's very, very reliable, and it's high security. So that's something else so it just tells you what's happening in China. Every time you move around, there's a new opportunity for us as far as new services are concerned. So once again, I'm very happy to be here. We have a lot to talk about as far as China's concerned. It's, we prioritize our countries around the world on what commitment we're going to make as a corporation, financially, people, and nothing happens around the world without our people. Our people, whether they're in China or whether the U.S. is the glue that holds things together, they are what our customers give our customers confidence and peace of mind, but they also help us deliver on our promise to many of you who I hope are UPS customers. So once again, thank you for having us here.
Say it again. Oh, okay, we have a PowerPoint. We came prepared. Are we doing the PowerPoint now? Okay.
Yes.